In this video, we are going to learn how to write to a file inside Python. The steps we are going to take to write our data into a file are very similar to the steps we had to take to read from a file. So in step number one, we are going to open the file. The only difference would be we are going to give the permission of writing or W to the open function. In the second step, we are going to write our data to the file. And as usual, in the last step, we are going to close the file. The function inside Python we are going to use will be the same function, the built-in function open. And again, the first input, the obvious input we need to pass to open function would be the name of the file. So we indicate what file we want to open and we want to write our data into it. In this case, the second input, which indicates the permission, the file access mode will be required because we want to tell Python, we want to give Python the permission to go and start writing this file. And the keyword here would be W, which stands for writing. Again, the open function is going to return the file object to us. We are going to save it into a variable, and this variable is going to be the key, is going to be the gate to deal with this file. So whenever I want to deal with this file, I'm going to refer to this variable. Again, let's switch to Python and PyCharm, see how we can implement this concept and how we can write our data into a file. Before going there, let's take a look at the behavior of print function. We have been using print function from the beginning of this course, and let's see how it behaves. For example, again, if I ask the grade of the user using input command, and if I use print command to print the result, by default, print command is going to print the value to the output window. So this will be the default behavior of print command. For example, if I say 88, I'm expecting 88 to be printed to the command window. Here, in this case, what we want to do, we want to divert print command. We want to tell print command to go and print our data into a different location. And to do that, we have to come back and provide more information to this print command. So let's go and implement the idea of opening a file. We want to open a file. We want to write our data into that file. I'm going to use open function. I'm going to, for example, because I'm going to save the grades of the students, let's put a meaningful name on the file, grades.txt. And just as we agreed on, the permission we are going to give will be W. Open function is going to, again, return an object, a value to me, file object, and I'm going to save it into a variable. In this case, I'm going, again, to name my variable wisely because this is an output file, and I'm writing my data to it. I'm going to call it file out. Now, I'm going to get the grade. Now, let's see how we can guide, how we can divert print function to go and write my grade to this file rather than writing it to the command window. The solution would be we have to override the parameter inside this for the print function. That parameter will be file, which shows the destination of print command. Now, in this situation, in this case, I want to say, okay, the destination should be this file. Getting back to what we discussed, whenever I want to deal with this file, I'm going to refer to this variable. So I'm going to say file will be file output. By using this syntax, the print command is going to write my grade to this location, which will be my file. And the last but not the least, we are going to close our file. So I just need to call close method for my file object and close the file. Let's run this and see how the program is going to work. Just pay attention to the fact that right now there is no grades.txt file inside my current working directory. And here I provide, let's say 98, enter, and you see that grades.txt file was created here. We can go and take a look inside. the value 98 was written to that file, and at the same time, you see print command did not print anything to the command window. Okay, let's rerun this code and let's see how it is going to behave. If I open the file again, if I pass another value, if I write another value, how this print command and how this file is going to behave. Am I going to write my new data appended to the end of the data I already have in the file, or is going to erase the data and give me a fresh start? Let's see how it behaves and we can make some conclusions. Right now, I'm giving the permission of W. Let's rerun the code. Right now, the value I have inside grade.txt is 88. I rerun the code. This time I say 85. Let's see if I still have 98 or I only have 85 in the file. So you see that the old data, I lost the old data I had in the file. So in this case, the program is going and erasing, clearing the content of the file and rewriting everything from the start. The reason is we are giving the permission of W. If our intention is keeping the data and appending the new data, keep writing to the end of the file, we just need to change the permission we are giving. And it's very easy to remember. The keyword here would be A, which stands for append. So right now, I'm just changing the way I'm opening the file. I'm giving the permission of A. Right now, 85 is there. Let me go and rerun the code. And this time, for example, I say 79. You will see that in this case, I will keep 85 and 79 will be appended to the end of the file. And in the next step, what I'm thinking is, okay, let's delete this file because we want to start providing new data in a different format. I want to also provide the name of the students and write the name and write the grade of that student both to the file. So what I'm thinking is, okay, in this case, I'm also going to ask for the name of the student. And one common practice in writing multiple data points to a file, to a text file, is we can write the data and separate them by comma. That's going to give me a CSV file. So when you see that these CSV files, which stands for comma separated variable, it means the data points inside this, it's a text file, it's a simple text file, but the data points have been separated by a delimiter comma. So if I want to write this data to a file, the way I'm thinking is I'm going to write the name, comma, and the grade in front of it. So let's do it this way. Because my name and my grade both are coming from input command, they are both strings. So I can use plus sign as my operator and concatenate my strings. So let's say each line I'm going to write to my file is going to have the name in the beginning. I'm going to add a comma, and I'm going to add the grade at the end. And this time I'm going to write the line to my output file. Let's try that. For example, I can give the name of Reza, and let's say 95. Let's go and take a look inside my grades.csv file. It's a text file, but this time I changed the extension to CSV. Inside the operating systems, operating systems usually open CSV files with spreadsheets, because these spreadsheets are the way they are going to treat these CSV files. They are going to put the data separated by comma in different cells. For example, in a Windows computer, when I open this CSV file with Excel, you see that the data will be they will be in different cells, and I can treat this as a tabulated data. I am writing my data with, I'm opening the file with A, maybe I can rerun this code multiple times and add more data points for different students. Let's do that. For example, Sarah, 67. Mike, 82. Let's go and take a look inside my grades.csv file. Now you see those data have been written in different ones. Now, even if I go back to my to the folder and open it with my inside the spreadsheet, you will see that all the data points will be, so the data points are separate. The data points on different rows will be on different lines, and the data points on different columns will be separated by comma. This is the way CSV file works. Now we know how to write our data to a file in the form of a CSV file. How about reading these data back inside our Python environment in case we want to load it back and start using them inside our program? That should be very easy based on what we learned in the previous video and this one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tweak this program a little bit because the concepts are very similar to each other. So I have this grades.csv file inside my current working environment. I'm going to open the file. So I'm going to name my file input wisely. I'm going to call it file in, and I'm going to give the permission of R to Python to open this file. And let me get rid of these stuff. And obviously at the very end, we are going to close the file. How we are going to read the file, just recall. We can make a loop over the lines of this, over the lines inside this file, read them one by one, and load the data. So I'm going to make a loop for line in file in, and you recall that we have to strip our data to get rid of extra white spaces and \n I have at the end. So let me do that. Let me strip the data, strip the line, and let me print the line. See how it looks like. Let's see how this program is going to read the data. When I do this, I will see the data in this form. It means the program is going and reading these data line by line, and the data for the first student will come inside the string. So I'm going to, for the first try, line will take this value. It's a string in which the name and the grade are separated by comma. If my intention is extracting the data from this string, just pay attention to the format of this string. In this string, the data points of my interest are separated by comma. So the only thing I need to do for a string type of variable, we have a method called split. I can say split my line and use comma as the delimiter. So it will return a list, and inside that list, I will have one item, which is Reza, and I will have one item, which is 95. It will give me two strings, and those two strings will be extracted from this string. So let me do that. I can split, and I need to make sure that I am passing comma as my splitter. Now let's also print data every time we read the information from the file and see how it looks like. You see that in this case, the data for the first student will be saved in a list which has two items. The first item is a string which has the name. The second item is a string which has the grade. And the same is going to be for the second student and the third student. If I want to put my data, save my data in very well formatted, organized way, let's say, for example, I want to create a list which only contains the name of the students, and I want to create a list which only contains the grades of the students. Well, the approach should be very easy. What I can do is I can create these lists in the beginning. I can initialize them as empty lists. And when I get my data, just pay attention to the fact that the name of the student is in data index 0. Data list has 2 items. The name of the student should be inside on index 0, and the grade of the student will be in data index 1. And then I can append these items to the list I have. In case I'm interested to append, if I want to append the grade, because grade right now it is in the form of a string, maybe it's a good idea to convert it to a number here. So at the end, we are dealing with a list which only has numbers. So when I get the name, all I need to do is, for a list, we have a method called append, and I can add an item. I can append an item to the end of that list. I can do the same thing for the grade list. I can append the grade of the student to the end of that list. Just to make sure that our program works as intended, I can print these guys at the very end to make sure that all those data are extracted and saved in these 2 lists. Let's try this. You see that the names of the students are saved in a list called name list. The grades of the student are saved inside a list which is called grade list. The last thing I want to mention here, sometimes our CSV files, they have headers. For example, in this file, maybe there is a header which indicates what kind of information we have in each column. For example, maybe the header for the first column is name, the header for the second column is grade. And this is going to cause trouble because I'm expecting a number in the second column, because here I'm converting it into an integer. But the headers are not necessarily of the same type of the values inside that column. So in this case, when I read the first line, the program will try to convert grade into a apply integer function to the string grade, and it will give me an error. Let's try that actually to see what's going to happen. I'm expecting an error in this case, and the error should come from applying the integer function to this string. The solution will be skipping the header. How we can skip a line when we are reading the data? There is a method for file object. So my file object here is file in. If I want to skip one line, I can call a method for this type of object, which is called read line. So just pay attention that there are 2 versions, read line and read lines. Read lines is for multiple lines, read lines is just for one line. Just make sure that you're using read line. If I just call this read line, it is going to read one line and it is going to skip that line. If I need the header, this will actually read it and return it. In case we need the header, if you want to use it later, maybe we can save it to a variable. Just put a meaningful name on it, header. But if I don't save it anywhere, it will just simply skip that line. Let me read on my code and see if that problem I had with the header is gone. And you see that the issue has been resolved. Thank you very much.